Hello, my name is Gabe.
For this problem, we're asked to sketch the solution set to this system of inequalities. Let's begin by looking at our first inequality, x plus y is less than or equal to 1. Now, before we can graph this inequality, let's begin by considering the line given by x plus y equals 1. Here we can write this in slope-intercept form by subtracting x from both sides of the equation, which tells us that we have y is equal to negative x plus 1. Now we can take this over to our Cartesian plane and graph this line. And here, what I want to do is I'm not worried about this line as much as I am this inequality, but since we have a less than or equal to symbol, I can draw a solid line. So y is equal to negative x plus 1, has slope negative 1, and it has y-intercept 0, 1. Now that this line has separated our plane into two regions, we want to determine which side of this line should we shade. So let's begin by choosing a test point. Let's use the origin, 0, 0. So if I substitute 0, 0 into the original inequality, we want to know is 0 plus 0 less than or equal to 1. And what we see is that, in fact, 0 is less than or equal to 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to shade the side of the line that includes the point 0, 0. Next, we'll want to think about our second inequality. Negative x plus y is less than or equal to 1. Again, we can consider the line negative x plus y is equal to 1. And here we can write this line in slope-intercept form by adding x to both sides of the equation, which leaves us with y is equal to x plus 1. So we can take this line and graph this on our Cartesian plane. And again, since we have a less than or equal to, this will be a solid line. So this is a solid line with slope 1 and y-intercept 0, 1. Now to determine which side of this line we want to shade on, we have to choose another test point. And since this is independent of our first inequality, we can choose the origin again. So let's use the point 0, 0. And we'll substitute this back into our original inequality. So we want to know is negative 0, which is just 0, plus 0 less than or equal to 1? And again, we have that 0 is in fact less than or equal to 1. So we can shade the region that includes 0, 0. And finally, our last inequality is y is greater than or equal to 0. Here we can consider the line y equals 0, which is the x-axis. And in order to determine which side of the x-axis we should shade, we want to choose a test point. But here, since the point 0, 0 lies on our line, we need to choose another point. So let's choose the point 0, 1. substituting 0 in for x and 1 in for y, we want to know, is 1 greater than or equal to 0? Well, 1 is in fact greater than or equal to 0. So we'll shade the side of the line y equals 0, which includes the point 0, 1. So everything above the x-axis. Now what we see here is that the solution set to this system of inequalities is the overlapping areas. So the area which all three of these lines are in is this triangle here. And what we have is we have our vertices are going to be the points 1, 0. We have the point 0, 1. As well as the point -1, 0. Thank you.